Commander Zethkar stretched his forearms and rubbed his tired eyes. The night shift on Galactic Trade Station Nexus 7 was always quiet. Most of the traders and visitors were sleeping in their quarters. Only the essential crew stayed awake to watch the sensors and keep the station running. The massive space station floated in the empty space between three great alien empires. Ships from dozens of different worlds came here to trade goods, share information, and conduct business. It was neutral ground where even enemies could meet safely. Zethkar belonged to the Vorthek Empire. His people were tall and strong, with gray skin and 4 powerful arms. They were known throughout the galaxy as fierce warriors. But even warriors needed to eat and trade, so they came to Nexus 7 like everyone else. The sensor console in front of him showed the usual pattern of dots. Green dots were friendly ships. Yellow dots were unknown, but probably harmless. Red dots meant danger, but there had not been any red dots for months. Space was peaceful in this sector. Then something changed. A new dot appeared on the edge of his screen. It was white, which was strange. White dots meant the computer did not know what to do with the signal. The ship was too far away to get detailed readings, but something about it made the old computers deep in the station start working. Zethkar frowned. He had been doing this job for 20 years. He had seen every type of ship that flew through space. This one was different. The ship was moving toward them, but slowly. It was not running from something or racing to get somewhere. It seemed to be exploring, looking around as it traveled. He pressed some buttons on his console. The computer tried to identify the ship by comparing it to its huge database of known vessels. After a few minutes, the screen showed a message that made Zethkar's blood run cold. No match found. Configuration unknown. Energy signature triggers ancient protocols. Ancient protocols. Zethkar had heard about those, but never seen them activated. They were security programs built into the oldest computers on the station. Programs so old that nobody really knew what they were for anymore. He reached for his communication device and called Dr. Kira Lin. She was the smartest person on the station, a member of the Etherian species who spent her time studying old books and ancient history. If anyone would know about ancient protocols, it would be her. Dr. Kira Lin, please come to the sensor control room. We have a situation. What kind of situation, Commander? Her voice was calm and musical, like all Etherians. A ship. One that the computer cannot identify. It is triggering some very old programs. There was silence for a moment. I will be there in 5 minutes. Zethkar watched the white dot on his screen while he waited. The ship kept coming closer, but it was not moving in a straight line. It seemed to be scanning things as it moved, like it was studying everything it found. Dr. Kira Lin arrived quickly. She was tall and thin with pale blue skin and large silver eyes. Her people were known for their intelligence and their love of learning. They were the historians and teachers of the galaxy. Show me, she said. Zethkar pointed to his screen. It appeared about 10 minutes ago. The computer cannot identify it, and look at this. He pressed a button and showed her the message about ancient protocols. Dr. Kira Lin stared at the screen for a long moment. Her silver eyes grew wide with what looked like fear. This is impossible, she whispered. What is impossible? The energy signature. I have seen readings like this before, but only in very old books. Books that most people think are just stories. What kind of stories? Dr. Kira Lin was quiet for a moment, thinking. Commander, have you ever heard of humans? Zethkar laughed. Of course. Everyone knows the old legends. Humans were the first people to travel between stars. They were great warriors who could survive on any world. But they are just stories told to children. What if they are not just stories? The laugh died in Zethkar's throat. What do you mean? The energy signature from that ship matches descriptions in the Terran Codex. Those are the oldest books we have, written over 3,000 years ago. They describe a people called humans who came from a world called Earth. But humans are not real, they are legends. According to the Codex, humans disappeared from the galaxy after a great war. They fought something called the Silence and won, but the victory cost them everything. After that, they were never seen again. Zethkar looked back at his screen. The white dot was getting closer. You think that ship has humans on it? I do not know. But if it does, we might all be in danger. Danger? Why? Dr. Kira Lin pulled up some files on her portable computer. According to the old stories, humans were the most dangerous fighters in the galaxy. They came from a world so harsh that it made them incredibly strong and smart. They could adapt to anything and never gave up. But the stories also say they were good people who protected others. Yes, but Commander, think about this. If humans are real, and they have been gone for 3,000 years, why are they coming back now? What could be so dangerous that it would bring them out of hiding? Zethkar felt a chill run through his body. The Vorthek were brave warriors, but even they had genetic memories of the legendary humans. Stories passed down through generations about beings who could turn any situation into a victory. The sensor console started beeping. The unknown ship was getting much closer now, and the computer was getting better readings. Length, 800 meters. Mass, unknown. Weapons, unknown. Crew, unknown. The ship was big, but not the biggest they had seen. What worried Zethkar was that the computer could not figure out how it was built or what it could do. Should I alert the station commander? He asked. Yes, and we should probably warn the other ships in the area too. Zethkar sent out a general alert. Within minutes, his communication device was buzzing with calls from scared traders and visitors. Word spread quickly through the station. Unknown. Ship approaching Nexus 7. All vessels prepare for possible danger. But as the calls came in, Zethkar noticed something strange. Every species was scared, but they were all scared of the same thing. The Zilnari traders were talking about the Death World demons from their oldest songs. The Krillian merchants whispered about the Star Walkers who could survive in space without suits. Even the proud hegemony diplomats mentioned the void. Warriors from their ancient texts. Every species in the galaxy had stories about humans, and every story described them as incredibly dangerous. Dr. Kira Lin, Zethkar said quietly, I think you are right. I think that ship has humans on it. What makes you so sure now? Because everyone is scared, and I mean everyone. All the different species on this station are talking about the same legends, just with different names. Dr. Kira Lin nodded slowly. Genetic memory. The fear of humans is built into all of us because our ancestors lived through the time when humans ruled the stars. The sensor console beeped again. The unknown ship was now close enough for detailed scans, and what the computer found made both of them stare in shock. The ship was sending out communication signals, and those signals were in a language that the computer recognized from its oldest files. A language that had not been heard in the galaxy for over 3,000 years. The language was called English, and according to the ancient records, it was the primary language of the human species. Commander, Dr. Kira Lin said, in a shaking voice, I think we are about to meet our legends. Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair aboard the UES Liberty and watched the strange space station grow larger on his main screen. After 6 months of traveling through empty space, it felt good to see signs of intelligent life again. Any response to our signals yet? He asked. Lieutenant Amy Roberts looked up from her tactical station. Her short brown hair was tied back in a practical ponytail, and her green eyes showed the focus of someone who had seen too many battles. Nothing yet, Captain. But I am picking up a lot of chatter from the station. Different languages, all talking at once. They sound excited, added Lisa Park from the communication station. She was young, maybe 25, with black hair and quick fingers that danced across her controls. "Actually, Captain, they sound scared." Chief Engineer Danny Walsh laughed from his position near the back of the bridge. He was a big man with red hair and hands that were always dirty from working on engines. "Scared of us?" "We are just one little ship." Jake frowned. The Liberty was not exactly little. 800 meters long and built for deep space exploration. It was one of Earth's most advanced ships. But compared to the massive station ahead of them, it did look small. "Maybe they do not get many visitors out here," Jake said. "Captain," Lisa called out, "I am getting something. It is very faint, but someone is trying to talk to us. Put it on speakers." The bridge filled with a strange musical voice speaking, in a language none of them recognized. The words flowed like water, beautiful but completely unknown. "Can you translate it?" Jake asked. Lisa worked at her controls for a few minutes. "The computer is trying, but it does not recognize the language." "Wait, there is another voice now." This time the voice was deeper and rougher. It sounded like it came from someone with a very different throat than humans had. "Two different species," Amy said. "At least." "Captain," Lisa said excitedly, "the computer just found something. It says parts of what they are saying might be related to very old Earth languages. Languages that died out thousands of years ago." "That is impossible," Danny said. "How would aliens know dead human languages?" Before anyone could answer, the main screen flickered. An image appeared showing two alien beings. One was tall and thin with pale blue skin and large silver eyes. The other was shorter but much broader, with gray skin and 4 arms. Jake had seen pictures of aliens before, but these were the first living ones he had ever met. For a moment, nobody on either side said anything. Then the blue-skinned alien spoke. To everyone's surprise, the words came out in heavily accented but understandable English. "Human ship, can you understand us?" Jake stood up slowly. "Yes, we can understand you. I am Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth vessel Liberty. Who am I speaking with?" "I am Dr. Kira Lin of the Etherian Research Council. This is Commander Zethkar of the Vorthek Empire. We welcome you to Galactic Trade Station Nexus 7. Thank you. We are exploring this region of space and detected your station. We come in peace." The 4-armed alien, Commander Zethkar, made a sound that might have been laughter. "You come in peace." "Of course you do. That is what the legends always said." "Legends?" Dr. Kirillin looked uncomfortable. "Captain Morrison, forgive me for asking, but are you really human from the planet Earth?" "Yes, we are. Why do you ask?" "Because according to our history, humans disappeared from this galaxy over 3,000 years ago. Most of our people believe you are just myths." Jake looked at his crew. Amy had her hand near her weapon controls, not threatening but ready. Danny looked confused. Lisa was recording everything. "I think there has been some kind of mistake," Jake said. "Humans have never been in this part of the galaxy before. We are explorers from Earth, and this is our first time traveling so far from home." "That is impossible," Commander Zethkar said. His voice was deep and rough, like stones grinding together. "The ancient records are very clear. Humans ruled the stars long before any of our species learned to fly." "Commander," Dr. Kira Lin said quietly, "perhaps we should continue this conversation in private. There are many people on this station who might panic if they learn humans are real." "Too late for that," Zethkar replied. "Word has already spread. Half the station is trying to leave, and the other half is preparing for war." Amy stepped forward. "Preparing for war? We have not threatened anyone." "Lieutenant Roberts," Dr. Kirillin said, somehow knowing Amy's name and rank, "you must understand. In our legends, humans are the greatest warriors who ever lived. Your people fought a war against something so terrible that even its name was forgotten. You won that war, but the cost was so high that all humans vanished from known space. We never fought any war like that, Jake said. And we certainly did not vanish. We have been on Earth this whole time, slowly exploring the nearby star systems. Then how do you explain the ruins? Commander Zethkar asked. What ruins? The human ruins scattered across the galaxy. Old cities, abandoned space stations, weapon platforms that still work after thousands of years. My people have been studying human military tactics for generations. Danny whistled softly. Captain, what if we are not the first humans to come this far? What if there were other ships long ago that we never knew about? Jake thought about that. Earth's history had some gaps, periods where records were lost or unclear. But a whole galactic civilization, that seemed impossible. Dr. Kira Lin, he said, could you show us some of these ruins? Maybe we can help figure out what really happened. Of course, but Captain, there's something else you need to know. The reason everyone is so frightened is not just because humans are supposed to be extinct. What do you mean? The legends say that humans only appear when something terrible is about to happen. Your people were the galaxy's protectors, the ones who fought the monsters that lived in the dark between stars. Amy's eyes narrowed. What kind of monsters? We call them the Silence. According to the old stories, they were machines that ate everything they touched. Worlds, stars, entire civilizations. Nothing could stop them except humans. And you think we are here because these Silence things are coming back? Jake asked. I do not know, Dr. Kira Lin admitted. But Captain, in all the legends, humans never appeared unless the galaxy was in terrible danger. The communication screen flickered and went black for a moment. When it came back, there were more aliens visible in the background. Jake could see dozens of different species, all watching the conversation with fear in their eyes. Captain Morrison, Dr. Kira Lin said, would you be willing to come aboard our station? I think there are things you need to see. Old records and artifacts that might help us understand what is happening. Jake looked at his crew. Amy shook her head slightly, warning him to be careful. Danny shrugged, leaving the decision to him. Lisa nodded eagerly, excited by the chance to learn more. We will send a shuttle, Jake decided. A small crew to start with. If your people can promise our safety. You have my word, Dr. Kira Lin said. Though I must warn you, many of the people here are still afraid. They have grown up hearing stories about humans, and those stories are not always pleasant. What kind of stories? Commander Zethkar spoke up. Stories about beings who could survive in the vacuum of space, who could adapt to any environment and overcome any enemy, who never gave up and never showed mercy to those who threatened the innocent. We are not monsters, Amy said firmly. No, Zethkar agreed, but you are legends. And legends are always more frightening than reality. The screen went dark, leaving the human crew alone with their thoughts. Captain, Danny said quietly, what? If they are right? What if there were humans out here before, and something happened to them? Then we need to find out what, Jake replied, and we need to find out why we are really here. The shuttle bay of Nexus 7 was crowded with aliens, all trying to get a look at the humans. Captain Jake Morrison stepped out of his shuttle with Amy Roberts and Lisa Park beside him. Danny Walsh had stayed on the Liberty to monitor the ships. Systems.Jake had expected to feel nervous meeting so many alien species at once, but instead he felt sad. The aliens were clearly afraid of him and his crew. They whispered to each other and pointed, staying far away like the humans carried some terrible disease. Dr. Kira Lin approached them with Commander Zethkar close behind. Captain Morrison, welcome to Nexus 7. I apologize for the crowds. Word has spread quickly that humans are real. It's all right, Jake said, though I wish they were not so scared of us. Fear is natural when legends become reality, Zethkar said. His forearms moved nervously. My people have war songs about human battles. songs that are thousands of years old. Dr. Kira Lin led them through the station corridors. The walls were covered with writing in dozens of different languages. Aliens of all shapes and sizes stopped their work to stare as the humans passed. "How many species live here?" Amy asked. 47 different species use this station regularly, Dr. Kira Lin replied. And every single one has stories about humans and their history. They entered a large room filled with old books, data crystals, and strange machines. It looked like a library and museum combined. "This is my research center," Dr. Kira Lin explained. "I study the history of the galaxy, especially the time period when humans were supposed to live here." She led them to a large display table and pressed some buttons. A holographic image appeared showing a star map of the galaxy. "These red dots show where we have found human ruins," she said. Jake stared at the map. There were hundreds of red dots scattered across space. "All of those are human?" "According to our analysis, yes. Cities, space stations, mining colonies, research outposts. Your people were everywhere." Amy pointed to one cluster of dots. "What happened to them?" "They were abandoned suddenly, about 3,000 years ago. No signs of battle, no bodies, no damage. It was like everyone just left at the same time." Lisa was taking notes on her handheld computer. "Do you have any records from that time? Communications, log entries, anything?" Dr. Kira Lin touched another control. The hologram changed to show text in several languages. Most are damaged or incomplete, but there are patterns. She highlighted certain words that appeared over and over. These words appear in many of the final transmissions. "Silence approaching, moving to final position, sacrifice for the future." "Sacrifice?" Jake asked. "Your people seem to believe they had to give up something important to protect the galaxy. But we do not know what." Commander Zethkar stepped forward. "Captain Morrison, there is something else you should see. May I show you our tactical archives?" They moved to another part of the room where Zethkar activated a different display. This one showed battle formations and weapon designs. "These are human military tactics," he said. "My people have studied them for generations. Even today, our best generals use strategies invented by humans thousands of years ago." Amy studied the displays with professional interest. "These are good tactics. Whoever designed them knew how to use terrain and turn enemy strength into weakness." "The recordings say humans never fought fair," Zethkar said, with what might have been admiration. "They always found ways to win battles they should have lost." "That sounds like desperation fighting," Amy replied. "The kind of tactics you use when you are outnumbered and outgunned but cannot afford to lose." "Exactly. According to our records, humans were always fighting something bigger and stronger than themselves. But they always found a way to win." Dr. Kira Lin brought up another display. "This is what we know about the silence. The enemy your people fought." The hologram showed dark shapes moving between stars. The shapes had no clear form, just shadows that seemed to eat light itself. "They were not alive in any way we understand," Dr. Kira Lin explained. "They were machines, but machines that could think and change. They consumed matter and energy to make more of themselves." "Like a virus," Lisa said. "Yes, but a virus that ate planets and stars." According to the records, they appeared at the edge of the galaxy and began moving inward. Every world they touched became part of them. Jake felt a chill. "And humans fought them for over a century. The records show that humans organized all the other species into a great alliance. They taught everyone their tactics and gave them advanced weapons. But the other species were not enough," Zethkar added. "The silence kept coming. In the end, only humans could fight them effectively." Amy was studying the tactical displays. "I see the problem. These silence things adapted to every strategy used against them. But humans kept changing their tactics. Faster than the enemy could adapt. Yes, Dr. Kirillin said. Human unpredictability was the key to victory. But the cost was terrible. She brought up new images showing damaged space stations and broken fleets. The final battle took place at the edge of the galaxy. Humans gathered their entire fleet and met the Silence head-on. What happened? Jake asked. They won. The Silence was defeated. But the human fleet was almost completely destroyed. Only a few ships survived, and they disappeared into deep space. The records say they were going to make sure the Silence could never return, Zethkar said. They sacrificed their place in the galaxy to keep everyone else safe. Lisa looked up from her notes. Captain, what if our people back on Earth are descendants of the survivors? What if some humans made it back home? That would explain why we have no records of this galactic civilization, Amy agreed. If only a few ships survived, they might have decided to start over on Earth and never spoke about what happened here. Dr. Kirillin was quiet for a moment. Then she said, There is something else, something that worries me greatly. She brought up a new display showing recent sensor readings from the edge of the galaxy. For the past few months, our deep space monitors have been detecting strange signals. Signals that match the old descriptions of the Silence. Jake felt his blood turn cold. You think they are coming back? I do not know, but the signals are getting stronger. And then you appeared. You think we are here because of these signals? In all the legends, humans only returned when the galaxy was in great danger. Captain Morrison, why did you really come to this sector of space? Jake thought about his mission orders. We were following energy readings that Earth detected several months ago. Readings from this direction. The room fell silent. Amy and Lisa exchanged worried looks. Captain, Amy said quietly, what if our mission was not just exploration? What if someone on Earth knew what those signals meant? But who on Earth would know about the Silence? Dr. Kirillin spoke up. Perhaps the survivors who returned to your world left behind more than just their descendants. Perhaps they left behind knowledge, hidden until it was needed again. Commander Zethkar's 4 arms moved in what his people used as a gesture of respect. Captain Morrison, if the Silence is truly returning, then the galaxy needs human help again. Will you stand with us? Jake looked at his crew, then at the alien beings around him. They were no longer afraid. Now they looked hopeful, like children who had been lost in the dark and finally saw a light. We will need to contact Earth, he said. And we will need to learn everything you can teach us about the Silence. Of course, Dr. Kirillin said. But Captain, there may not be much time. If the signals are getting stronger, then the enemy is getting closer. Jake nodded grimly. The peaceful exploration mission had just become something much more serious. Somewhere in the dark between stars, an ancient enemy was stirring. And humanity, whether they knew it or not, was about to be called upon to defend the galaxy once again. The alarm started screaming just as Captain Jake Morrison was reviewing the ancient human records. Red lights flashed throughout Dr. Kirillin's research center, and alien voices could be heard shouting in panic throughout the station. Commander. Zethkar rushed to a communications panel, his 4 arms working quickly. Long-range sensors are detecting massive objects at the galaxy's edge, he announced. Multiple contacts, very large, moving toward inhabited systems. Dr. Kirillin pulled up the sensor readings on her main display. Dark shapes appeared on the screen, but they seemed to bend light around them, making them hard to see clearly. How many ships? Amy Roberts asked, her military training taking over. The computer cannot get an accurate count, Zethkar replied. The signatures keep changing, but there are at least 50 contacts. Each one is over 5 kilometers long. Lisa Park was working frantically at her portable communication device. Captain, I am trying to contact the Liberty, but something is interfering with our signals. Jake looked at the sensor display and felt his stomach drop. The dark shapes moved in patterns that seemed wrong somehow, like they were not following the normal rules of space travel. Dr. Kira Lin, do these match the old records of the silence? She compared the current readings to historical data. Her pale blue face grew even paler. Perfectly. Energy signatures, movement patterns, even the way they interfere with our sensors. It is exactly the same. The communication panel crackled to life. A panicked voice spoke in one of the alien languages, then another voice translated into English. Outer colony Zarian 4 has gone dark. Last transmission reported black ships in orbit. Population of 4 million. Another voice broke in. Mining. Station Beta 7 is not responding. Automated systems show complete power failure. More reports flooded in. Colonies, trading posts, and research stations were going silent one by one as the dark ships moved deeper into the galaxy. Commander, Zethkar slammed one of his fists on the control panel. My people are sending everything we have to fight them. 3 full battle fleets. That is not wise, Amy said quietly. Why not? We have weapons, shields, experienced crews. Because the silence adapts. Every attack you make teaches them how to defend against it the next time. Your fleets will just make them stronger. Dr. Kira Lin was reading through the old battle reports. Lieutenant Roberts is correct. In the ancient war, conventional attacks stopped working after the first few battles. Only human tactics remained effective. Jake made a decision. Lisa, keep trying to reach the Liberty. We need Danny and our ship. Commander Zethkar, can you contact the alien fleets and tell them to pull back? Pull back? Captain Morrison, there are billions of lives at stake. And they will all die if your fleets attack and lose. The only way to fight the silence is to do what they do not expect. Zethkar looked confused. What do you mean? Amy stepped forward. Humans do not fight fair. We use the environment, we use deception. We turn the enemy's strength against them. We make them think we are doing one thing while we do something completely different. But how can we deceive machines? Because they are not just machines, Jake realized. They think, they learn. That means they can be fooled. Lisa suddenly looked up from her communication device. Captain, I got through to the Liberty. Danny says our long-range sensors are picking up massive energy readings heading this way. And Captain, he says there are more human ships arriving. More human ships? A whole fleet, sir. They are coming from the direction of Earth. Jake felt relief flood through him. Earth had not sent them out here alone. Someone back home had known this was going to happen. The main display changed to show new contacts approaching the station. These ships have the clean lines and familiar energy signatures of human vessels. There were dozens of them, from small destroyers to massive battleships. The cavalry is coming, Amy said with a smile. Dr. Kira Lin was staring at the display, in wonder. I have spent my whole life studying human legends. Now I am watching them come true. A new voice came over the communication system, speaking clear English with an Earth accent. This is Admiral Kate Hunter of the Earth Defense Fleet. Captain Morrison, please respond. Jake grabbed the communication device. Admiral Hunter, this is Captain Morrison. We are aboard the alien station and have confirmed the threat. The silence has returned. Copy that, Captain. We have been monitoring the situation. Please prepare for fleet operations. We are going to need every advantage we can get. Admiral, how did Earth know this was going to happen? There was a pause before the Admiral answered. Captain, when you get back to your ship, check your mission files. There are classified sections that were locked until now. You will find that your exploration mission had a secondary purpose. Jake felt a chill. Earth had known. Somehow, someone on Earth had known the silence would return and had sent ships to be ready. Commander Zethkar was watching the human fleet with amazement. Your ships are so small compared to the silence vessels. How can you hope to win? Because we are not going to fight them ship to ship, Amy replied. We are going to fight them human style. The communication panel erupted with new reports. The alien battle fleets had engaged the silent ships near the outer colonies. The results were exactly what Amy had predicted. Vorthok First Fleet reporting heavy losses. Enemy vessels are adapting to our weapons, requesting immediate reinforcement. Etherian Defense Corps reports complete destruction of attack squadron. Enemy used our own tactics against us. Zilnari traders fleeing inner systems. Black ships are consuming everything in their path. Dr. Kira Lynn turned to Jake with desperation in her silver eyes. Captain Morrison, the alien fleets are being destroyed. Millions of people are dying. What can humans do that we cannot? Jake thought about the old records they had studied. Human tactics, human unpredictability, human refusal to give up. We do not try to match their strength. We make them chase us into places where their strength becomes a weakness. You mean like the ancient humans did? Exactly. Admiral Hunter, this is Captain Morrison. I am requesting permission to coordinate with the alien forces. We need to implement Protocol 7. There was silence over the communication channel. Then Admiral Hunter's voice came back, much more serious than before. Captain, Protocol 7 has never been tested in actual combat. The risks are enormous. So's doing nothing, Admiral. Understood. You have authorization for Protocol 7. All human ships will follow your lead. Amy looked at Jake with concern. Captain, what is Protocol 7? Something I hope we never have to use, Jake replied. Lisa, contact Danny and tell him to prepare the Liberty for combat operations. We are going to need every trick we can think of. Commander Zethkar stepped forward. Captain Morrison, my government has authorized me to place all Vorthak forces under human command. We will follow your orders. Dr. Kira Lynn nodded. The Etherian Council has given me the same authority. Our ships are yours to command. More alien representatives appeared on the communication screens, all offering their fleets to human leadership. Species that had been enemies for generations were now united by desperation and hope. Jake looked at the display showing the silence, moving deeper into the galaxy, consuming everything in their path. Behind them came the human fleet, small and fragile looking compared to the enemy. But Jake remembered something Amy had said earlier. Humans did not fight fair. They used everything they could to win, no matter how desperate the situation became. All right, he said. Let's show them why humans became legends. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UE's Liberty as his ship raced toward the outer colonies. Around him, the largest fleet in galactic history moved through space. Human ships flew alongside vessels from 47 different alien species, all following one desperate plan. Danny, how are our engines holding up? Jake asked. Chief Engineer Danny Walsh wiped sweat from his forehead. Running at 110%, Captain. She's giving us everything she has. Good. Amy, what is the status of our alien allies? Lieutenant Amy Roberts checked her tactical display. All fleets are in position. The Vorthok battle groups are ready to engage. The Etherian ships have their scanning arrays active. The Zilnari fast ships are prepared for evacuation duties. Lisa Park looked up from her communication station. Captain, I am getting reports from the outer colonies. The silent ships have reached the Carrion system. 3 planets, all with major populations. How long until they consume everything there? At their current rate, maybe 6 hours. Jake nodded grimly. 6 hours to save billions of lives and prove that humanity's legendary tactics were more than just old stories. Lisa, open a channel to Admiral Hunter. The main screen showed Admiral Kate Hunter on the bridge of her flagship. She was an older woman with gray hair and steel blue eyes that had seen too many battles. Captain Morrison, are you ready to implement Protocol 7? Yes, Admiral. All ships report ready. Remember, Captain, we only get one chance at this. If it fails, the Silence will adapt to our tactics, and we will never be able to surprise them again. Understood. Beginning Protocol 7 now. Jake turned to his crew. Amy, transmit the tactical plan to all ships. Danny, prepare for emergency power transfer. Lisa, make sure every ship in the fleet can receive our signals. The plan was simple in concept but incredibly dangerous in practice. Instead of fighting the Silent ships directly, the human fleet would lead them into a carefully prepared trap. The aliens had spent 3 days moving asteroids, setting up hidden weapon platforms, and preparing the battlefield. But the real key to Protocol 7 was not the trap itself. It was making the Silence want to follow them into it. All ships. This is Captain Morrison. Phase 1 begins now. The Liberty and a small group of human ships broke away from the main fleet and headed straight for the Silence vessels. To any observer, it looked like a suicide attack by a handful of small ships against an overwhelming enemy. The Silence ships detected them immediately. The dark vessels turned toward the approaching humans, their weapons charging. Captain, Amy. Reported, the enemy is taking the bait. All Silence ships are moving to intercept us. Perfect. Danny, give me everything the engines have. We need to stay just out of their reach. The Liberty accelerated toward the enemy fleet, but at the last second, Jake ordered a sharp turn. The human ships skimmed past the Silence vessels, firing just enough shots to make the enemy angry but not enough to do real damage. They are following us, Amy announced. All enemy ships have changed course to pursue. This was the most dangerous part of the plan. The human ships had to stay close enough to keep the Silence interested, but far enough away to avoid being destroyed. It was like being chased by hungry wolves while carrying raw meat. Lisa, signal the alien fleets. Tell them to begin Phase 2. While the human ships led the Silence on a deadly chase, the alien vessels moved into position around the trap zone. It was a massive asteroid field that the Allies had spent days preparing with hidden surprises. Dr. Kira Lynn's voice came over the communication system from the Etherian command ship. Captain Morrison, our sensors show the enemy is adapting to your flight patterns. They are getting faster. Expected, Jake replied. Amy, how much longer until we reach the asteroid field? 12 minutes at current speed. And how long until the Silence catches us? Amy checked her readings and frowned. Maybe 15 minutes. It is going to be close. Behind them, the dark ships of the Silence grew larger on the rear sensors. The enemy vessels moved like living things, flowing through space in patterns that hurt to look at directly. Danny, can you give me any more speed? I can try, Captain, but if I push the engines any harder, we might lose power completely. Do it. The Liberty surged forward, her engines burning white-hot. The other human ships followed, their crews pushing their vessels beyond safe limits. Captain, Lisa called out, Admiral Hunter is requesting an update. Tell her we are on schedule. The enemy is committed to the chase. The asteroid field appeared ahead of them, a thick cloud of rocks and debris floating in space. To the Silence, it probably looked like the perfect place to corner the fleeing human ships. All ships, begin Phase 3, Jake ordered. The human vessels plunged into the asteroid field, weaving between the floating rocks at dangerous speeds. Their smaller size and superior maneuvering gave them an advantage, but it was still incredibly risky. The Silent ships followed without hesitation, their dark hulls scraping against asteroids as they pursued their prey. Now, Jake whispered. All alien fleets, begin Phase 4, Amy transmitted. Hidden weapon platforms throughout the asteroid field opened fire. Not at the Silent ships, which would have been useless, but at the asteroids themselves. Carefully placed charges detonated, sending massive rocks flying in all directions. The Silence vessels, focused on chasing the humans, flew directly into the debris storm. Their adaptive armor could handle energy weapons and projectiles, but thousands of multi-ton asteroids moving at high speed were a different problem entirely. Enemy ships are taking heavy damage, Amy reported. But they are still operational. Phase 5, Jake ordered. This was the moment when human tactics truly showed their worth. Instead of continuing to run, the human ships suddenly turned around and attacked. But they did not attack the Silence ships directly. Instead, they targeted the damaged asteroids around the enemy vessels. Each human ship carried special mining charges, designed to break apart space rocks. When these charges exploded inside already damaged asteroids, they created devastating chain reactions. The Silence ships found themselves trapped in a storm of exploding rock and metal. Their ability to adapt to weapons was useless against an environment that was constantly changing. Commander Zethkar, deploy your battle fleets, Jake ordered. The Vorthik warships, which had been hiding behind larger asteroids, emerged and opened fire. But they did not target the Silence ships either. Instead, they used their weapons to create more debris, more chaos, more unpredictable hazards. The Silence ships tried to adapt, but there was nothing consistent to adapt to. Every second brought new dangers from new directions. Dr. Kira Lin, begin the evacuation phase, Jake called out. While the battle raged in the asteroid field, Etherian and Zilnari ships moved toward the threatened colonies. Their job was to save as many people as possible while the humans kept the Silence busy. Captain, Amy announced, enemy ships are breaking apart. We are actually winning. Jake felt a moment of hope, but then Lisa's voice cut through his relief. Captain, long-range sensors are detecting more contacts at the galaxy's edge, much larger than the first wave. On the main screen, Admiral Hunter's face was grim. Captain Morrison, Phase 5 has worked better than we hoped. But this was just the advance. Force, the real invasion is about to begin. Jake looked at the tactical display showing the destroyed Silence ships in the asteroid field. His plan had worked, but now he understood the true scope of the threat. Admiral, how many more ships are coming? Thousands. Maybe tens of thousands. And now they know we are here. Jake realized that humanity had not returned to the galaxy just to fight one battle. They had returned to stand guard once again, just as their ancestors had done 3,000 years ago. All ships, he broadcast to the fleet, prepare for extended operations. We have a galaxy to protect. In the distance, more dark shapes emerged. From the void between stars, and humanity prepared to become legends once again.